that I have been reading called Hidden Treasure. I've actually finished it. But there was a chapter entitled Hell in this book, and it's not the hell that you think. It's not like fire and brimstone, and when you die, if you're not a good person and you don't believe in Jesus, you go to hell, and the devil tortures you. It's not that kind of. They're not referring to that kind of hell. Um, or she, Gangaji, the lady who wrote this, is not referring to that type of hell. She's speaking more about circumstances and our own mental processes that really give us a hellish time, like really weigh down on us and destroy us and torture us. So let me read this and um, let's see what you think. Most of our concepts and judgments of hell, or even of the minor negative emotions that assert themselves throughout the experience of life, have to do with proving that we are essentially bad or doomed or permanently flawed in some irrevocable way. We have been taught this by parents, school systems, religions from the East and the West, and by our own internal idealization of the purified being we hope we can be. This mass of conditioning is only in the way when real investigation is needed. And real investigation is needed when we are willing to hear what any deep experience, especially hell, has to teach. How do we meet or investigate what is by its nature terrifying, unlovable, abysmal, and liable to swallow us into its muck? The how is actually simple. The real challenge is the motivation. Why would we even want hell's teaching when we can distract ourselves with so many options, or at least cover our heads and wait for it to pass? We are ready to meet the worst, hell, in ourselves only when we are ready to be free. Before that readiness, we will hide from the worst, or dramatize the worst with a tragic melancholy, or we may deny it altogether. The thinking process of our brain is filled with powers that allow us to decorate reality or dodge and cover whatever may threaten our version of reality. These powers are to be admired and used creatively until we really want to live freely. Then we must recognize that what keeps us in inner bondage is our fear of what exists in the naked core. If we have been secretly frightened by our unknown inner beingness, and if we have been taught that our inner nature must be tamed into submission because of its potential for selfish evil, we will keep our conscious attention separate from and be afraid of the innermost core of ourselves. Usually, even if our upbringing has been more enlightened, and we are taught that we are essentially pure and good, the wild, untamed parts of our personality are likely to frighten us enough that we keep them hidden in shamed secrecy. They show themselves in nightmares and in hell. To be willing to turn toward them being the aspects of ourselves that we separate from our outward self-image, is the mark of maturity, which is the readiness to be free. Not free of them, but free of all inner and outer definitions of what they are. When we are free of our conceptual definitions of ourselves, we are free to be fully whole. We then directly know ourselves as undefined, indefinable consciousness, freely being itself. When we are willing and ready, hell is one of the most important teachers to point to that freedom. I think it's been a disservice to a lot of people who grew up in religious households to view hell as something that happens to you after you die, and something that you want to avoid at all costs. Because, in my opinion, as much as we would all like to believe that we know what happens after we die, no one knows for sure. And so to build your entire life upon these ideas that if I'm a good person, I won't go to hell, or if I'm a bad person, I'm going to go to hell, it doesn't make any sense. And you miss the opportunities that are right in front of you. My experience recently in reading this chapter, I had a lot of mental noise in my head about how this is all incorrect and you shouldn't be listening to this, and all these bad thoughts coming up, and my mind labeling all of these as hell. This is what hell is. Like, hell is torture, and hell is just anything and everything that you've ever pictured as bad. And you can't go there, and if you go there, that makes you a bad person. And as I was reading this, I had all that happening, and it just hit me. I was like, that's all just my mind. That's literally all just my mind saying that, choosing all these labels and telling me all these things. That is not what hell is. And I'm like, so here's the deal. Like, this sounds like I'm a proponent of hell at this point, and I'm not. I'm a proponent of searching yourself completely and entirely from the good to the bad, or what our minds label as good and bad, and then moving past those definitions and realizing that they have no actual correlation to who you really are as a spirit, as a being, as part of something bigger. They don't have any correlation. You are beyond all of that, and you'll never discover that if you're so caught up in these ideas of good and bad and heaven and hell and things like that. Yeah, that's all I have to say. I hope that was understandable, and I hope you enjoyed what I read. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.